Happening on our Facebook page. I'll be reading all those comments out throughout the show today, so go and comment immediately and we'll read all those comments a little bit later on. With a jam-packed show full of fashion advice, let's get it started on the couch.
Now, if I have to consider a few of my favorite things, they would be jazz hands, false eyelashes, a feather boa, and today our first guest is photographer, stylist and creative director Gavin Mikey Collins and some of his friends. Now, they started a party scene in Cape Town called Decoding, where guests are encouraged to go wild, dress up and express their true inner selves. And Gavin is there to capture it all through his lens. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you for having me.
So wonderful to have you.
Yeah.
I think my appreciation for what you do runs so deep, not only because in another life I definitely was a drag queen, but because I really do believe in a world of radical self-expression. So how did you get into this?
So I started Discoteca with a very good friend of mine, and we were just on the beach one day and we were imagining this world where people can have an escape from reality. There's so many hectic issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we just wanted an escape from that.
Yeah.
So we thought, what better place to have this party than Cape Town? So Discoteca is set in a post-apocalyptic paradise. It's an art installation that's set to techno music. So we just invite people to come, express themselves, have the best time of their lives, meet interesting people, and just have a good time.
Wow. So you use this platform to challenge gender identity. What are you finding people are not understanding? And I see this a lot on social media, that people don't understand the difference between gender and sex.
So I think drag is an important tool to educate people because it, just by nature, it's an act of rebellion. It challenges gender and people's preconceived ideas about it. So drag, you basically mocked gender. It looks at it and it says, I challenge you. So it's Discoteca, really, that's kind of the root of it. It's about challenging people's ideas and trying to expand your understanding of things, gender, identity. So gender, for me, is an outdated idea.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to see people come to our parties and just have a whole spectrum of people identifying different things and just seeing them celebrated.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be gay or straight or anything. That doesn't exist there. It's just to do whatever you want.
There's a preconceived idea about Discoteca that it's a gay party, but it's so much more than that. It's for everyone. It really is. It's for young people.
It's for you too, Jeannie.
No,
I
cannot believe how I haven't gotten an invite to the sooner.
Yeah, it's for young people, it's for old people, it's for every race, every religion. It's just a safe space that we've created for people, and we really just want to celebrate people's individuality, their creativity, and just be liberal in self-expression.
Yeah.
Where
is the drag move? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, you start. But are there any rules around it? Like when I look at things like this, I'm reminded sometimes of, like the Kit Kat Club, for example, that started in Berlin.
Yeah.
Are there rules, you know, to engage?
Yeah.
There are no rules for drag. Absolutely no rules, but for Discoteca, the only rule is to respect people, respect their expression. So it's a very positive space.
Yeah.
You can come in a t-shirt if that's how you feel you want to represent yourself, or you could come in a dress, you could come dressed as a clown. It's literally a free-for-all. It's just about who you feel that evening, who you want to express, that kind of inner superhero, whatever it is,
Exactly.
it's all welcome.
How is the drag movement in South Africa doing? Because I've heard a lot of gay people argue that drag is slowly becoming irrelevant because society has become so much more accepting of gay people and their expression, and they can go wherever they want and party wherever they want.
But why is that a
so
complaint?
because drag used to be a place where gay people went with each other to just share, to assign meaning to their experience.
Well, drag previously was about, it was a subculture, so it was very niche. It wasn't something that everyone experienced. You were right, it was for queer people, and you know, due to things like RuPaul's Drag Race, it's now like really into the mainstream, and it's, people know about it. It's in our language. People are saying things like fierce and yes and work. That's all. That all
so
originates
it's come
from
out of
drag
obscurity
culture.
into a complete.
So there's really a spotlight on it right now, and I feel like it's more important now than ever because drag is rebellion. Drag is it's something to believe in. It's a way to connect with people on a level using humor, which makes it so much more relatable. You can talk about anything in drag.
I think it's great, though, that it's so much more
Absolutely.
acceptable, that there doesn't have to be only
Absolutely.
one party for drag queens to go to. It's like if you can be at a regular club and see somebody dressed in drag, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and the power that you have when you're in drag is incredible. Like, people are drawn to you, they want to come talk to you, they want to know who you are, they
I love
want
that
to take
it's
your
so
photo.
larger than life. It almost reminds me of the hip-hop movement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
it's
and
really
has
about
elements of that, yeah.
embracing yourself and your uniqueness, your individuality. It's about
power,
championing
yeah.
that.
Totally. We're going to be, unpacking this a little bit more, and we're going to be meeting a hot friend of yours. But first, let's see what's happening online.
Well, what's happening online is that we want to drag you into the conversation on our social media platforms, particularly on Facebook today. We're asking you a question about how this affects you and I at home, our consumers. As consumers, is it still fair to expect men and women to conform to divisive clothing rules? We'd love to hear from you. Go and comment on our Facebook page. That question kind of revolves around, should there be men's sections and women's sections at stores? Why can't we all just find our clothes together? Lindell Walker says no, because men can wear what they want and women can wear what they like. It's your own choice in life. It's your body. Wear what your heart tells you. And Berry Fun Macmillan Cookie, I hope that's how I pronounce your surname, Berry. I hope that's correct. It says no, everyone has a choice. And I think we agree with that comment. So what you guys can go over to right now is find us on Facebook. It's Afternoon Express. And go and comment on the status that you'll see here, obviously with that picture there. Is it still fair in the modern day and age to expect men and women to conform to divisive clothing rules? Like, would you expect to see Superman onesies in women's sections in stores or not? We'd love to hear from you. We'll be right back after this with more from our guests.
Afternoon Express is big on fashion and big on food. Follow us on Instagram to check out who wore what and find our mouth-watering recipe recaps so you can dress and dine the Afternoon Express way.
Express yourself.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express, live on SABC3.
So we were busy chatting about discoteca and this amazing movement before the break. Now, one of your most celebrated works is the Born Naked photo shoot that you did. And one of the drag queens that you shot, his real name's Mohammed, but today we're going to meet
Inkwell Moon.
Inkwell Moon. So let's first have a look and see what Inkwell looks like in normal, regular life. Okay, we don't have that picture yet, but we will get it. But please welcome Inkwell Moon.
Ooh.
Oh, you are fierce. Oh no, you dropped
no.
a baby's head.
Wow. You're quite pouty. What's wrong?
I'm sad.
Why are you
Why?
sad?
I'm a Galliano meets Beetlejuice clown.
Oh, I love it. But look, you look
I love those
sensational.
nipple caps.
Do you do your own, like how does one come up with their drag persona?
Well, people follow different journeys, and
Yeah.
so that will influence your references and what you want to communicate with your drag. Some people try to do a real type look where they try and imitate women. Other people do stem more from an artistic perspective, and so they do try crazier things. And
Yeah.
drag's beautiful because we all exist together, but we can live as individuals.
Totally. I mean, you're totally rocking that outfit, and you can walk more comfortably in heels than most girls that I've seen.
So tell me about the psychological and emotional process that you go through from the minute you start painting that first line on your face until you're fully ready and made up.
Well, I feel that most of the times you're a mess until you start putting the finishing touches on. And then you automatically just flip from boy to drag queen,
Yeah.
or from boy to drag artist.
Wow. By mess, you mean like just the general feeling and angst of life making
By
you feel
mess,
like
I
a
mean that
mess.
drag is very dirty. You use a lot of makeup,
Yeah.
more so than regular girl on the street would.
Wow.
And so your
We hope.
Wow, we could give you a run for your money.
So your hands are dirty. Contouring is not the prettiest thing mid-process, but when it's done, you just start feeling your oats, and
Is it quite cathartic to find?
it is extremely. Many people have specific rituals that they go through when they get into drag, and it's a complete out-of-body experience once everything is done.
Now, is this your character, and every time you go partying to a drag party, you are in that character as Inkwell Moon, or does Inkwell Moon have a wardrobe with lots of different faces and a lot of different hats and pom-poms and...
Inkwell Moon draws from various eras. The core to my look is that it is monochrome. But
okay.
other than that, I'm inspired by various genres of fashion and art, and that influences how she feels at a particular time.
Amazing.
One time she may be a flapper 20s girl, and
Okay.
then she may be feeling a bit groovy and a bit more 70s at another time.
So it's always monochrome, but and then you always... I want to be Lady Gaga in American Horror Story.
Gavin, do you have a drag character of your own?
I do.
Tell us about
Her name is Suffocate.
Suffocate.
So she represents all of that angst that you were talking about, and like the feelings that we have in society, and like trying to process that. For me, drag is therapy. So it's like all of these ideas that I have going in my head, and I just like, for me, it's a way of projecting it and processing it and dealing with it in a funny way, interacting with people and just having a good time.
Wow, that's
I
incredible.
absolutely love it.
Yeah, and how does she dress? What's her main
So
attraction?
she's very glamorous. She normally has lots of sparkle. She's got crazy color hair, always a different
Wow.
color hair. She looks a little slutty at times, but it's always, she's very provocative.
Yeah.
And do straight people drag a lot?
They can. I don't personally know any straight drag queens, but there definitely are. You don't have to be a queer person.
Do you have to be a man to be a drag
No.
Yeah, because
No.
I was about to say,
No.
can
No.
we...
Yeah,
can.
can we be
There
drag
are-
queens?
We-
Absolutely.
I've been
I'm
accused
ready.
of being a drag queen a few times. No, you never know when the makeup gets a little heavy, like a heavy lash.
Yeah, you kind of like that. You
There's
like
a
that?
term that's been coined bio queen, And we are starting to see a lot more bio queens on the West Hollywood strip, where it's biological women who take all of the drag conventions, apply it to themselves, and go out, and some of them are starting to perform. It's not anything new, it's just that it's become a phenomenon now.
Yeah. Listen, I was in Greece and I went to a drag show, and a lot of the women that were performing were hotter than a lot of, like, what do you call them?
Bio
women.
queens.
Yeah.
Bionic women.
No, man, biological women. I'm just trying to be PC here, okay? That's not my strong point.
We actually have a pic of you before drag. This is, wow.
What a babe.
It's quite a transformation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a transformation. And have all the people in your life met both your drag character and yourself?
Not all of the people.
Do they know that Inkwell Moon exists?
Most of them.
Okay.
The
and-
They've seen
special
the
ones.
pictures.
The special ones.
The special ones, the ones
Yeah.
that matter.
Well, look, there's, once you're on Facebook, there's no denying what you get up to, like, behind the scenes. Okay, we've got a little game to play right at the end of the show, because you guys have to teach us how to be drag.
Yeah.
What's the word used to be in on the drag scene?
The lingo.
Because you guys have got
Just
your
give
own
us the lingo
language.
so we can be down.
I don't know if there's...
There's no specific word.
Yeah, it's just more of a
Okay.
feeling. It's like...
Like that thing you were doing when you walked in. What's that
It's
thing
a
called?
shimmy.
It's just being fierce.
It's just being fierce.
Just being, it's
Yes, queen.
It's more like a rapport that you have with someone. So, like, you'll know if we see each other, there's certain words that we'll say that, like, immediately you know that you speak in the same language.
We're going to be learning some of that lingo a little
Yeah,
bit
and then
later.
we're going to be speaking like
we're
that
gonna be
from
even,
now on.
yeah,
So
saying more than
everybody just
usual.
prepare yourself.
So I wonder if this is like, I'm getting there, I'm learning clicks, I'm learning things. At the end of the show, we'll all have it down. You guys can also be part of the conversation. Please head over to our Facebook page, Afternoon Express. You can also tweet us at Afternoon Chat using that hashtag Afternoon Express. Join the conversation. On our Facebook page, we're having quite an interesting conversation. I'm loving reading through all of your comments, by the way. We want to know, in today's modern age, is it fair to expect men and women to conform to divisive clothing rules, as in what's for men and what's for women? Some really cool comments came through. Ike Teng says, no, it's the 21st century now. People do what they like, dress with anything they feel comfortable in. But the one comment that really got my attention was this one from Karisha Harilal, who says, wear what you feel comfortable in. Clothes don't define personality. How you treat others defines who you really are. So why are we putting so much emphasis on what clothes we'd like to wear? Please join the conversation. You're allowed to disagree. You're allowed to agree. This is your free speech and conversation to be had. So go over to Afternoon Express on Facebook as we continue with this discussion about fashion and turn our attention to two ladies taking over the fashion world after these.
Express yourself.
Sea Harvest. New look, same great taste.
No, we're not.
Are we coming back to us? Yes.
Why do we do this?
Yeah. Welcome back to Afternoon Express, and it's all about fabulosity and fashion today in the loft. Now, the world of fashion truly is shifting its focus from mass-produced to sustainably produced. Now, Kim and Natalie Ellis, two sisters from Cape Town, have made it their mission to create eco-friendly, sustainable fashion.
Now, they create a range of different clothing and accessories using recycled products, and in the past year, they've saved 15,000 plastic bottles. Wow, ladies, welcome to the loft.
Welcome. Where did you find those 15,000 plastic bottles, firstly? Are you guys trolling the beaches trying to find litter?
The amazing thing is all those bottles actually come from in and around the Western Cape and South Africa at large. So we're very proud to say that we're actually cleaning up landfill right here in our own country.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So what is the process of turning a piece of plastic or a plastic bag into fabric?
Well, it's a very interesting process, and it starts off with the collectors, actually. So there's a plethora of independent collectors who become employed, and what they have to do is they go out and they collect a variety of recycled plastic bottles that then go back to the manufacturing plant, and we work very closely with a local fibre manufacturer. It's all the plastic bottles are sorted out there, and then those bottles are broken down into plastic chips. Okay. Which is quite interesting. Those chips are then cleaned and sorted into various colours. And then those are spun into a fibre. So it's a very thin fibre, which then we take and we then create fabrics out of it. So we've been very proud to conceptualise various fabrics from recycled plastic bottles. Yeah. And one of them that we've recently had so much success from is a felt. It looks like a felt, but it's 100% recycled plastic bottles.
That's incredible.
I know Woolworths actually does a range of men's jeans made from recycled bottles.
Exactly.
But I mean, what other range of fabrics can you get? So you've got a felt, but can you get any fabric from the plastic?
You can. For instance, we also have been working on a knit. So at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, we showed a line of T-shirt dresses made from the fabric with awesome prints on, and we're actually busy exploring many different fabrics as well that we can create from it. So it's very exciting.
So everything we're seeing here was made from plastic?
Not everything. So all the accessories.
Okay.
And then at the end, we've done a beautiful coat, and then also the T-shirts as well, the T-shirt dresses.
So you can see the tote bags, the safari hats, water bottles.
Oh, that outfit.
And they're all paired with natural fabrics. So.
What was the moment or any personal process or journey that brought you both to a point of saying, we want to explore conscious fashion?
I think we spent many years abroad in London, and coming home, we both agreed that we wanted to do something together, and we wanted to do something that involved our local community. It was very important to us. So we kind of wanted to focus on who makes our clothing and how our clothing is made and what our clothes are made from. So we spent a lot of time looking, first of all, for who makes our clothing. So we use incredible women's sewing cooperatives in various informal settlements.
Wow.
It's important to us that it's ladies who are, a lot of them are the sole breadwinners in their communities, and it's important for us that they work in their communities so they can also look after their children and their families, and at the same time we providing them with work. So there's that aspect, and then also it was important to us to ensure that we are environmentally conscious. So we use many natural fabrics, including tencels, cottons, a lot of hemps, and then we wanted to really focus on something we could do on African soil. So that's why we looked at cleaning up our own country, and that's where we found the idea of using recycled plastic bottles.
Absolutely. You girls have blown my mind. I think it's amazing to consider all of that. It's really a beautiful, it's a beautiful way to start a business if those are all your intentions.
It's got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
It does.
And how do you source your hemp? Is it readily available in South Africa?
So what the reason why we wanted to go with hemp in the beginning is because of the fantastic properties of hemp. And I mean, it's really been labelled this wonder crop. And what it does is that, in terms of planting the crop, you need half the amount of space and water as you would with a cotton crop, less pesticides. And then as a fabric, it's antibacterial. So we actually started off doing a range of women's swimwear.
What does antibacterial mean in fabric? Sorry, I don't like...
So
Because then we
basically,
should be wearing antibacterial
absolutely,
undies.
absolutely. That's why we started with the swimwear range.
Yeah.
Yes.
So healthier for you, natural fabrics, breathable.
And also, actually, it's UV resistant,
Yes.
which is very interesting.
That is interesting.
It is. It is.
Why is anyone ever using cotton now?
Exactly. But it also drapes wonderfully. So we then moved on to using hemp in classic women's shirts, shirt dresses, and we also did a couple of collections with hemp denim. So play suits and that sort of thing.
We just want to follow everything you girls are doing and just buy all of your stuff in the future.
Thank you. But to answer your question, yes, we are working with local suppliers who are growing the first hemp fields in Africa, which is a really huge feat. So it's exciting to know that we can get our hemp here on African soil in the future.
Yeah. And what other fabrics can we see you working with in future, or materials?
Oh gosh, well, we have some very exciting stuff
Yeah.
we'd love to tell you about. For
Yeah.
instance, we're about to do an exploration into pineapple leather, which is very interesting.
Wow.
Yes, it's actually, it's pineapple leathers, mushroom leathers, we're also very interested in.
Citrus, so fabrics made out of citrus.
Yes.
But then again, we really, really, really want to carry on working with recycled plastic bottles and PET because there's so much we can do with it.
How does like a fruit or a mushroom or pineapple become a fabric without decomposing?
Gosh, well, that's what we're about to explore.
Exactly. But while you explore that, I have to explore this hat. Just because it looks so fabulous.
It does.
I couldn't let you ladies bring this sensational piece
Here
of
we go.
fashion. And
Just channeling.
it was made for me.
And 100% recycled plastic bottles.
It's definitely channeling your inner drag king.
Can I wear this to discotheque?
Oh, please do. There you go. You've got your outfit.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you
you
very
so much
much.
for coming
Thank
through. Well, best of luck with your business.
Thank
What
you
an
so
amazing,
much.
amazing
Yes.
company.
Thank you.
After the break on Afternoon Express, it's very exciting. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on. But these girls are going to have to make sure that Jeannie doesn't walk away with that hat. And so we've got a lawyer coming to join us in the loft who loves fashion. And she's the only South African lawyer who's involved primarily in the fashion industry. And so we're finding out more ways of how to protect your ideas and protect Jeannie from stealing your hats in the loft. On our Facebook page, we're asking you the question, in the 21st century, in the modern age, is it still fair to expect men and women to conform to divisive clothing rules? As we were speaking about drag earlier on in the show, and there were two comments that caught my attention that I wanted to read out. Pam McDonald's Turvey says, in the face of the looking down my nose brigade, men have to be brave and to be alternative individual dresses. Some of the bravest men in history have worn skirts for centuries and proudly. So be brave, be proud, and you get to wear anything that makes you happy. Walk in fear, however, and you are sure to be mocked. I thought that was a really cool comment to make. Wear it proudly, otherwise you're sure to be mocked. Madi Tobani says, clothes don't make a man, but they can make a man feel great. It's all about the choice of how one wants to portray his or her sense of clothing. Thank you so much for this conversation that's happening online. It's so exciting to hear you guys engaging. Some positive views, some negative views, some agreeing, some disagreeing. Keep the conversation happening. You can also tweet us, #AfternoonExpress on our Twitter pages. We'll be checking through all those comments and replying to each and every one of them. After the break, we speak the law side of fashion.
Make Afternoon Express your destination for recipe inspiration. Find the ingredients and instructions to making these delicious meals, sides and desserts on our website, afternoonexpress.co.za.
Express yourself.
A warm welcome back to Afternoon Express as we explore all things fashion. Earlier on in the show, we chatted to creative director and photographer Gavin Mikey Collins and the ladies who founded ethical fashion label, The Joinery. And it got me thinking, what happens when you have a great creative idea and someone else copies it? Where do we stand with regards to the law? So we've invited South Africa's very own fashion lawyer, Sumaiya De'Mar. She's proved that dynamite definitely does come in small packages, and she's an advocate as well as founder and director of SA Fashion Law. Sumaiya, welcome to our loft.
Thank you for having me.
So how does one go about working in an industry like law for so long and fuse these careers between fashion and law?
Law has always been in my blood. My grandfather was a lawyer, so it was always I was going to follow in his footsteps. So I got my law degree and worked in the legal field for several years. And then I decided to throw myself into my passion, which was at the time fashion, and I worked in the fashion industry for several years as well, doing many things from designing to trend forecasting, editing and styling, and threw myself into the industry. And then I saw a gap in the market where fashion law is quite needed, and I decided to start SA Fashion Law.
Awesome. And gaps are so in right now, aren't they? Kidding, totally kidding. But in terms of the legal industry, everyone always has a stigma around lawyers when it comes to pricing. It becomes like money. They're sharks when it comes to trying to find money and things. What I love about what you've done is you found this niche, which kind of has said, I'm here to protect a specific audience, which I love, and I want to make sure that I help see grow. So what exactly goes into fashion law? I mean, is that just contract? What does it mean?
Fashion law consists of many different aspects. It's several different fields applied to the fashion industry. So it starts off with intellectual property law, which is trademarks, copyrights, patents, and design. And then it goes all the way through to contracts, to business, employment law, cyber law, IT law, social media law. The list goes on. Ethics, sustainability, the list goes on.
Oh my word. This must be throwing you guys into a kind of tiz of questions, because, I mean, even being myself, being an entrepreneur, I know lawyers are some of the most difficult things difficult people to deal with, because there's so much to consider, especially in a creative field where all you want to do is just create, and this stuff becomes quite overwhelming. So I'm going to give this platform to you. If you guys are keen to ask any questions.
I think as creatives, we spend so much time behind the scenes and we kind of forget about the important legal matters. So as designers, how do we protect our own IP and our own intellectual property? How can we go about doing that?
When it comes to intellectual property law, the law protects you in 4 different ways. So copyright law, for example, would protect works of art and creative works, and that's where fashion would fall into. And trademarks protect your business and your logo and your branding. Okay, patents protects inventions, and designs protect a certain aesthetic part of a garment or functional piece. So when it comes to fashion, it would fall under copyright law. So you can protect yourself in a certain sense by just documenting your work and putting the copyright symbol, adding your date and the name of your company when it was created. Just keep your checks and balances in place so that you don't run into, and most importantly, confidentiality agreements.
Is it expensive? Because I mean, one of the things is, can getting copyrights and trademarks, etc., be quite an expensive exercise, number one. And number two, a lot of creatives are inspired by each other. Who's to say that my idea was exactly the same? Maybe it wasn't a copy. Maybe I was just inspired by what you did and created something else from that. Like, how much of it is copying actual copying?
Well, you see, there's a difference between inspiration and imitation. Okay, and there's no actual method that the law uses. Each case is based on its own merits. So what the court actually does, it takes both into account and looks at one and looks at the other and looks at the differences as opposed to the similarities, and then decides.
See, but that's a little bit unfair, I would have imagined, because you have to go all the way through to the courts to then go and protect something that you're not even sure about. It's a huge outlay expense.
It is, but that's why from the get-go you should have confidentiality agreements in place or non-disclosures, so nobody can actually copy, really.
Yeah. Gavin, in your spaces, obviously, with the styling concept, you're always creating new ideas. You're a creative director. You're coming up with new ideas all the time. Do you spend this time? And I'm sure you must need legal advice continuously.
Well, I think it's such an important conversation because as a stylist in the industry, it's such an important role, but it's one that's so often overlooked. So in terms of like how do you deal with a client who refuses to pay after this certain agreed upon amount of time?
Well, when it comes to a relationship between a stylist, like you say, it's not regulated. So terms and conditions should be on your invoices when it comes to payment. But aside from this, you should get contracts in place between yourself and the client that stipulates payment terms and conditions, that stipulates, hours worked. Everything needs to be in writing and signed.
Does that not prevent clients from wanting to work with you? If you put under so much pressure, they're going to be like, actually, I'll go find somebody else who will do it without a contract and who I can mess around.
Well, you've got to pick your battles. You've got to decide each case on its merits again, because like you said, you can have that case where it happens that the client doesn't want to work with you because your contract is too solid, and then, or you just have a one-pager that says, I will take this clothing and I will return it then, and
And also, I suppose you don't want to work for a client who doesn't agree to those terms anyway, because that's a bad sign.
Exactly, and it's always a good sign dealing with someone that is willing to sign a contract or who has one in the first place. It's professional.
Yeah. If you guys have more questions, please fire them away. But in the meantime, I mean, what about labour law? Because a lot of creatives always put themselves into situations where they agree to freelance contracts or they do short-term periods of work, which means you're working way over the amount of hours that you probably should be working. What are our rights and responsibilities as creatives, especially in the fashion spaces where you're styling all hours of the night? Like, when do you put your foot down and say, I've worked enough now?
The thing is, labour law applies to every industry, including and also the Basic Conditions of Employment Act. It applies throughout. So it's up to you to speak to your employer or whoever is hiring you to make sure that they are complying with labour laws. Like, if you work over a certain amount of hours, then you get paid overtime. It applies throughout, but it's just a matter of keeping those checks and balances in place.
And where can we go find that information?
The government's website.
Quite good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you can find acts and policies everywhere.
Right. Let's try and sneak in one more question. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to know?
I have a question. The joinery works a lot with various manufacturers. We outsource a lot of our production to different production units. How do we protect ourselves? In other words, how important are contracts with manufacturers and producers in terms of producers not meeting deadlines or poor quality? How do you protect yourself? And
through agreements, I would suggest that you draw up an agreement with your manufacturer, supplier, each person, and make sure that you agree on the terms and conditions, that you are supplying within these timelines and that you are supplying with this quality standards and these amounts of rejects, and put every single thing in writing. When you have that first meeting and you speak to the client and you both iron down everything that's going on, that you then put it in writing, have it signed by both parties, and if something goes wrong, then you know how to handle it.
I love it. So it seems like contracts are a very, very, very vital, important thing, and I think that applies across the board. So hopefully you at home are also experiencing a lot of these things and are thinking, well, that applies to me, that applies to my job too, and in which case we hope that you're learning something from the conversation today. So ladies and Jen, thank you so much for joining us on the couch, and Sumaiya, thank you so much for sharing all this valuable info.
Thank you.
When we return after the break, your fave, Clem, is going to be showing you what happens when you cross a sweet potato and some haddock. Don't go away.
Express yourself.
Let's go. Yo, Anga. Carlene, where you at?
Let's go to the island. Stand together, you and me. We can win this million. We're gonna find treasure by the smooth.
Yeah. The Tropica Island of Treasure Seychelles theme song performed by MT, Anga Makubalo and Carlene van Jasveld is available for you for download. It's on iTunes and the Google Play Store. Proceeds from the song will be donated to Chuck. You can also win big when you buy Tropica. Simply follow the entry details on your Tropica bottle and find the T's and C's at tropica.co.za.
Sea harvest. New look, same great taste.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. It's all about fashion and flavor on the show today. And you're probably wondering, what's for dinner? Because we haven't told you yet. Today we're going to be making something so yum. You know your husband? Kidding. Don't throw him into the oven. He's a couch potato. We're using a sweet potato today on the show. And you're showing how to stuff it with some of the most incredibly decadent ingredients, including haddock.
Exactly. So sweet potatoes are in season right now, so you'll be having a lot of that. And fish.
They're so in right now. Sorry, we're talking fashion. I have to do it at some point. We were talking about it early on, right?
No, but really, they are in season, and we should be eating fruits or vegetables that are always in season. So, sweet potato, go for it. And we know the flavors, right? Sweet potato, kind of like immediately, it's going to be sweet. What I love combining is sweet and smoky. And haddock, super smoky, super delicious, beautiful flaky fish. So we're going to be using that today. So let's start with the haddock first.
Great.
So I'm using this guy over here. Did you have any memories of haddock?
Nope, I've never actually had haddock. Well, I have as a child, but I don't remember any of the great memories of it all.
I've got a lot of childhood memories around haddock, like haddock and cauliflower bake, haddock and a curry. It's so good.
Oh, haddock in a curry, yes.
Yeah,
that is one of the
like
ones.
a smoky
warm
curry.
winter dishes with haddock
It
in
is.
it. Oh,
it's super delicious. So,
and some nice salty fish too, right?
It's got a slight saltiness to it, which is really great with this dish, which it lends that the saltiness helps out a lot.
Good.
So I put the haddock fillets into the little baking tin. Some people boil it in milk, like Sumaiya milk, and that extracts a lot of the smoky flavors, and then they use the milk in like a bake, for instance, to make the bechamel, which is quite cool. Really great way to use it.
Cool.
So a little bit of butter, it just adds a lot of richness.
A little bit of butter makes it
better. And we're going to top it with a little bit of water. So what we're doing is we're going to steam it as it cooks. So I love using CO's products because you can use it from raw. The fact that you sometimes have to wait for products to thaw out before you use them is
not
just
from raw, you mean from frozen, I assume. You said you can use them from raw, you mean frozen.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Yeah. I'm the words guy, you're the food guy.
There we go.
We make a good team.
Use it from frozen. Of course use it from raw. Use it from frozen. So pop the little foil lid on, and then it goes into the oven for about 15 minutes at 200, or you can do it at 180 and it's going a little longer, like 20 minutes.
25 minutes, all right.
So comes out, super beautiful, super awesome, and then you let it cool down. And once it cools down, you can actually just take the skin off at the back.
Oh, delicious.
Which is
So
really,
it'll just
really
all,
easy, really
automatically
cool.
fall off.
So Dan, what I'm going to ask you to do now is nothing just yet. Cool. I'm going to actually ask you to help me with the sweet potato. So do that. Just chop it up nice and rough. You can kind of just you can flake it with your hand, which is really cool.
Okay.
Just like that. And then I'm looking for my sweet potatoes. Where my sweet potatoes go? So mad. Sometimes, you know... So
it's the middle of the week, guys. I'm sorry. It's like almost like Friday. I don't know where your sweet potatoes are. We must find them.
I think someone actually took it offset. Someone got really hungry. Danilo, I think it was you.
Oh, there
okay,
they are.
cool.
Lovely.
What you do is just flake that in there. I'm going to ask you to scoop out some of the sweet potato and pop it into our bowl.
Okay, so just the inside. Let's leave the skin
just
on.
The inside.
How much?
Actually, so we're going to refill it with our mixture.
Okay.
So leave a little bit in there. You don't want to make it too soft that
like
it kind of just falls apart. That's fine. That's okay for now.
This goes in here, hey?
That's right. So how do you prepare your sweet potato at home?
I usually just bake it in the oven. So I'll dice it and bake it in the oven like that.
Okay.
I generally leave the skins on because I like the roughage, but...
I like preparing them in the skins. That way you kind of like, all the excess moisture comes out and you get the beautiful fleshiness of the inside.
So you leave them whole?
Yeah, I do. I like that. The skin goes nice and papery. I like eating the skin as well. And I like, so going whole is perfect. Then my other trick is to take a sweet potato, you do it in the microwave, and don't just put it in just like this. They do take quite a long time to cook. If you actually wrap it in some bacon paper first, it steams.
Oh,
and because the microwave
wow.
cooks it half the time.
Really? That is such a great tip because also if you steam it in like just an open plate, like put a bit of water in there, it takes so long and then it's dry and like weird on the outside. So to put it in that is a great idea. Did you know that?
You can do that with normal potato as well.
Okay.
And any actual root vegetable as well. Just try that technique. It works really, really well. So all we're going to do, Dan, I'm going to help you out here for a little bit.
Was I meant to do the rest of them?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was a bit started.
But like you said, it's Thursday. It's all crazy.
My brain is already on the weekend.
People
Sorry.
kidnapping my sweet potatoes, hiding them from me. So I want to keep those just like that. And then I'm going to chop up some chives for you.
Cool.
So here's where you kind of like make the recipe your own. I like using chives because you don't want to add onion at this point because it's going to be just too harsh. Everything else is cooked already. So your haddock's cooked and your sweet potato's cooked. So when it goes back into the oven, we're not going to be like cooking it for very long. It's literally just to get the beautiful crust on the outside.
Okay, cool.
So chive, actually, can you tear some parsley in for me?
Sure, I can.
Just tear it,
Into
like
this
with your
bowl
hands.
or into here?
Into the actual bowl.
Into the mixture, right. So we're going to taste some parsley. These are all the sort of fresh ingredients. You've got a nice smokiness going on with the haddock. You've got that sort of earthiness with the sweet potato and that sweetness. You're now adding all the other dynamics, which is a freshness, and then maybe that slight, like what is onion? What do you describe onion as a flavor?
Gives you like the beautiful savory note that
Savory
I
note.
think, like I always say, as soon as you smell onions cooking, you know there's going to be an amazing dish on the way.
Yeah.
So I've got some pepper dews that I'm just chopping up. They're going to add a nice tagginess to it. It cuts through all those other flavors. And you're going to do a nice mash for me.
Great. When do I start mashing?
You can mash right now. Here you go.
Cool.
So the idea is we're going to mash and bring all these flavors together. While you mash, I'm going to add a little bit of cheese.
Oh, these colours in here are amazing. Are you guys seeing this at home?
That's why I love this dish so much.
Oh, delicious. This is
Cool,
yummy.
cool. You've got some serious mashing skills there. I can see you've been enjoying the cook-alongs.
Yeah, exactly. Either the cook-alongs or it's been a lot of arms day, guns
All right,
day
cool.
at the gym.
So what you're going to do is you're going to take that filling and put it back inside the sweet potato skins. And then you're going to top it with a little more cheese and put these bad boys back into the oven at about 200 degrees, like I said, just to get that nice charry color on the outside. I like to finish garnishing up with a little more chive. But these guys are so amazing. They make the perfect snack, and they're also awesome to eat at room temperature.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So there's one of those things you can kind of bake and then leave overnight, and there's one of those things you can have for lunch, etc., after the next day, or perhaps even breakfast if you're one of those people like me who doesn't like to prepare too many meals. By the way, if you guys want to get this recipe on your mobile device, all the details you can get via an SMS. You SMS the keyword fish to 33650. It'll cost you R1.50, and it's free. SMSs don't apply. You'll be sent an SMS, it'll go bing, or I don't know, bloop. Or like, if it's mine or whatever it is. And you'll get an SMS, and on that SMS will be a link to the recipe and all the ingredient details. And if you've just tuned into the show and want to know how exactly we made these delicious treats, you can go check out this recap.
That looks like a fantastic option for dinner tonight. But first, before we finish the show, we're going to play a quick game of whose drag is it anyway? Okay, so you guys have got an amazing lingo, and we're going to see exactly what they mean. So, beat for the gods. What does beat for the gods mean?
That's beat for the gods.
Thank you. Beat for the gods is when your makeup is done impeccably well.
Your face beat.
Your face beat.
Is
When
worthy
you've,
of
when
gods.
you've been able to transform parts of your face that you don't necessarily like and highlight all the amazing parts of it, that's beat for the gods.
Okay, I'm down with that.
All right, next.
Shantae, you'll stay.
Shantae, you stay.
That's more relates to RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
So basically, at the end of the show, once the drag queens have lip sync for their life, there's a choice, and one person sachets away and the other person stays. So
So
Shantae,
it's like opposite of by Felicia.
So like if
It's
you're
like I
choosing
choose
between
you.
two boyfriends,
Yeah,
like one of them
Shantae
can
you
stay,
stay.
Shantae, you stay.
Yes.
The next one is extravaganza eleganza.
So that's basically like when we say come to discoteca for the extravaganza eleganza.
Okay,
So it's
so
like
it's like a
fabulous,
fabulous
extra.
I think, sorry, on extravaganza eleganza, it originated in the ball culture in New York in the 80s and 90s. So it's when typically queens would wear a very bejeweled dress and they just looked really amazing with big pageant hair.
Okay.
And it can only be said like eleganza.
Of course.
And
We've got to drag it out.
We cooked with fish today, so this one, fish and fishy?
Fishy is like means looking like a girl, looking beautiful. So when you're serving fish, it means that you're looking good in terms of like your face, beauty, You look like a girl.
But you have to say it in a specific way.
Them.
You look fish.
You look
fish, bro. You look fish.
not like that.
You like fish.
But you can't go, you smell fishy, hey, Bruce. Thank you so much to all of our amazing guests doing amazing things in the world. I cannot wait to see more from Joinery. That's really exciting.
And please sign a contract because Sumaiya needs to protect you from Jeannie stealing your stuff.
The only thing I know how to do with a bottle is to pop out of it.
We're going to have to say goodnight, South Africa. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, happy eating.
Good night.
Good night.
Ciao. I can't wait for this.
Another feel-good production.